Good morning, YouTube. Today is Sunday, September the 3rd, 2017. I haven't posted a video in probably about a week, and there's a reason for that. I've been out of work for 3 months with 2 separate surgeries, so I'm just back trying to get on the Monday through Friday grind of life. And in the past 2 weeks, quite a bit has happened. I'm in good health, in good spirits, which is great, but I was on my way home from getting a tattoo, and on the Dallas North Tollway coming home, I don't know, I was in the passing lane and just something didn't feel right, and the further and further I got, my car was just, I'd give it gas and I would smell like a burning smell, and I was just kind of like, I just started putting the radio on mute and tried to listen to the car and smell it and try to see how it was reacting so I could diagnose what the problem was. Mind you, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks before that, I had the car in the shop because it had been acting up. I would give it gas, it would have a loss of power at about 3,000 RPMs, and then like it would shoot up the RPMs, and then it'd finally catch up, and then it would accelerate, but it wouldn't do it on the spot. It was a pretty big lag. I took the car to the shop. They told me it was an intake manifold, which cost about, I want to say it was a good 600 bucks, I want to say. Total bill out the door, because I went ahead and gave it some TLC. I went and got oil change, etc. I paid $1,500 out the door, got my car back after I got back from New York, and driving it, I was like, okay, you know, I'm glad the check engine light's gone, but it still didn't feel right. I was just kind of like, dude, what is going on? So I was like, maybe I'm just overthinking it. It's fine. Check engine light's gone. It hadn't come back on since. So, you know, fast forward to when I was driving home on the tollway, and at that moment I got about 90% of the way home. I entered the development that I live in, and it just gave out completely. I mean, it wouldn't, I'd give it gas, let go of the clutch in first gear, nothing. Second gear, nothing. Third gear, nothing. Put it in reverse, absolutely nothing. So then it like dawned on me, the clutch was completely gone. So already knowing that I'd been through that experience once before, I purchased the car used with about 30,000 miles on it. I drove it around for a little bit. I've owned it for about 4 or 5 years, and at 40,000 miles, the car did the same exact thing. I wasn't driving it. My mom was driving it on her way home from work. I think we had swapped cars for the day, and she calls me, hey, I'm sitting in the middle of 5 o'clock traffic trying to come home. The car's not working. So needless to say, there was some police officer in the colonies, Texas, that pushed her off, you know, the side of the road, and kind of got her out of the way. So I show up and had to get a tow truck, towed it to the auto shop, and they diagnosed it as need to replace the clutch and flywheel, that it was shot. So me thinking, hey, you know what? 40,000 miles on a car that hadn't had any issues before. I bought it, I've driven it for what, 10,000 miles or so. Didn't seem like anything was wrong. Spent $2,500 on it at that point to be able to get it back up to par. Drove it, I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe the person before me didn't know how to drive a stick. They were grinding gears, they were just terrible at it maybe, and they were like, hey, I'm done with this car, I'm gonna go get something else. The car came from Miami, Florida, so I have no idea, but when I got the car back, I had put the money, charged it to my credit card, was driving it around. I was like, at least I know that I know how to drive a stick. It'll last me a long time. I drive it, baby it pretty much. Every now and then, if I need to pass somebody, you know, I'll give it gas. But as far as like racing everywhere I go, just peeling out and stuff, mind you, it's an all-wheel drive car, so it's not gonna peel out. But I thought I would have had it at least for 100,000 miles plus to be able to let that clutch last me. Well, the car now has 80,000 miles on it, and lo and behold, again, the clutch and flywheel went out, had it towed to a shop. This time around, I'm being charged $3,500 after just spending $1,500 on it, you know, 2-3 weeks prior. I was like, that's a tough pill to swallow. So I went ahead and made a decision for the time being, because I'm trying to get back on my feet, being out that I was out, you know, for 3 months. I was like, strategically, I just don't see me being able to come up with $3,500 like that and dropping it on the car. So I feel like $1,500 was a lot easier to come by versus $3,500. What I ended up doing was going on Craigslist for a good, I don't know, 3-4 days. I think it happened on a Wednesday or a Thursday. It happened on a Thursday, and I knew that I had work on Monday, so I had to come up with a solution in 2-3 days. So I was like, you know, what can I do? What kind of car could I get? $1,500, you know, usually when you spend $1,500 on a car, you're gonna get a POS. And at this point, I was like, you know what? I'll sacrifice now. It's not a big deal. I can care less. It's a vehicle. It's gonna get me from point A to point B. So I decided that I was looking online for, I needed something that was easy to maintain, that if it broke down, parts are cheap, and then also that I could actually work on. I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm a mechanic, but I can pretty much do a lot of the basic stuff. Now, having to pull out a motor and transmission and stuff, I'll take it to the experts for that, but everything else, I was like, I can do it myself, not a big deal. The thing is, with these newer cars, all electrical, you mess with one thing and that could just set off a chain of events, and I don't want to have to worry about any of that, and that can get very costly. So I went ahead and decided that a Honda Civic or an Acura Integra was the way to go for me. I haven't been in the like car scene for probably about, I don't know, 7-8 years. I used to have the 350Z like I mentioned, but I totaled it, and I had like so many ideas that I wanted to do to it. I had it 3 months, wrecked it on my birthday, and ever since then I just kind of mellowed out and realized that I wasn't invincible anymore. So needless to say, I was like, I'm fine. Acura Integra, Honda Civic, get one, I'll be able to fix it myself. Buy one with, you know, the hopes of putting a little bit of elbow grease in myself, fixing it here and there, making it a little bit nicer than what it was when I bought it. I could turn around and sell it, you know, after I use it for a year, year and a half, whatever it might be. And if I made a $500 profit on it, you know what? I'll take it. I'll chalk it up as a win. Because all I know right now, spending, you know, $35,000 to $40,000 on the Audi that when I bought it, it has been nothing but, I don't want to say a money pit, but the cost of maintaining a car that is foreign, whether it be BMW, Mercedes, Audi, whatever, that stuff is not cheap. And if you don't have money set aside and you don't have a warranty, you're gonna be up shit's creek, kind of like myself. So I went ahead and looked on Craigslist, looked on Facebook Marketplace, looked on 5 Mile, looked at a bunch of different places just to see what was out there. Came across, I would prefer the Acura Integra. I said, hey, you know what? My Audi is a stick. I just want automatic, because when I go to work, there's bukus of traffic. When I come home, there's bukus of traffic. It literally takes me an hour to hour and 30 minutes to get home because of traffic, and sitting on that clutch all day, I know isn't healthy for it. So it probably contributed to the reason why it did go out. But even at that 40,000 miles, that's really low miles for a clutch to be able to go out. I just said, you know what? I want an automatic. Make it easy, make it simple, pop that puppy and drive and just cruise pretty much. Came across a handful of cars that were prospects, reached out to the people that were posting them. Some of them didn't respond, which it's crazy because I'd seen the post like 4 or 5 times, like they were trying to get rid of it. And then it was recent, never heard anything from them. And then there was 2 cars specifically. There weren't, actually there was 3 cars. 2 of them were Acura Integras. One of them was a Honda Civic. I found the 2 Acura Integras first, and the Honda Civic was posted on Saturday, which I reached out to because that's the day that I went to go look at the cars. The first one was, I believe it was a 97 or 98. It was an automatic. The lady had it posted a couple different times for probably about $2,500. And then I'd seen other posts where she went down in price. And the one post that I did see, it was 1,500 bucks. And I was just kind of like, okay, you know what? Aesthetically, it's not gonna be perfect. Obviously, I know $1,500 is gonna not get you the greatest of things. So I reached out to her saying, hey, you know what? This is my situation. When can I come take a look at the car? She said, oh, well, right now it's at the shop. It's getting a new gas tank in it because it had a punctured gas tank. So that's where it would be. It would be available to be seen Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I said, okay, no, not a big deal, you know. At least I'm getting my ducks in a row so I can go check them out. Woke up Saturday morning, went over there to where she said the car was, talked to the gentleman that was there, and he said that he hadn't even worked on it because the lady hadn't paid him anything. So I went in there and he told me that in order to get the key out of the ignition, he literally had to hit it with a hammer. And at that point I was just kind of like, if I can't even like take the key out of the ignition, probably not the best car to get. So I took a look at it and I was like, for $1,500 it's not terrible, but I stuck the key in hopes that it wasn't gonna get stuck. Tried to turn it, but it wouldn't go past like barely putting any pressure on it. Like it was just stuck. And I was like, the last thing I need to do is take on another headache. My other car just broke down. I don't want to have to take on a car that needs work and needs more money put into it. So I asked the gentleman who was working on it, hey man, honestly, what do you think? Is it something you can fix? Is it, you know, what's it gonna cost? And mind you, the lady hadn't paid for anything yet. So I knew that at that point she was putting money into the car. She was gonna be asking for more than the 15 that I was willing to spend. So she ended up reaching out to me. I told her the update because she hadn't even talked to the mechanic as to if he fixed it or anything. She was like, hey, when you go look at it, will you give me an update of where it is? So I texted her and I said, hey, you know what? This might not be an option for me. This is what's going on. And she goes, well, do you have his phone number? She didn't even have his phone number, which that was really, really piss poor, honestly. For me, trying to buy a car, and then in the way it was and how it sat, and then she didn't even want to check up on the car, and she didn't have the mechanic's phone number that's working on her car. So I was kind of like, I was really kind of rubbed off on that. I was just like, I don't think so. So the second one was located pretty close to Gainesville, Texas. So it was a good little distance that I would have had to travel to go take a look at it. I didn't want to have to drive all the way up there and not purchase the vehicle because I didn't want to waste my time or their time. So we ended up taking the kids to Arlington to their grandparents' house so they could spend the weekend over there. Well, in the process of driving down there, I was on Facebook Marketplace and I came across the Honda Civic. This guy had it pretty well gutted. I mean, he said it ran and drove. I guess he had like a turbo on it that he took off and I already sold. So it was just the NA motor with seats in it. And I don't think it had AC, but I was like, you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. I just need a car. If it runs, cool. But I asked the dude, I was like, hey man, you know, is it, he wanted $1,400 for it. I asked him, was it registered and inspected? He said, no, it wasn't. So that right there, I was like, man, that's another thing I gotta do. I was like, I don't know if I wanna deal with that. And I was texting him or messaging him back and forth. And I mean, it was going, you know, the response was pretty quick. So then it just came to a halt. I had talked to him or whatever. And I wanna say a good, hour and a half passed. And by that time I was already heading up, 30 or 360 to 35 all the way north to be able to go to Gainesville, just south of Gainesville, to take a look at this one. And the guy hits me up. He's like, hey man, when you want to come take a look at it, make me an offer. So the dude was willing to sell it for cheaper than $1,400. And I was like, hey man, like you took too long to respond. I'm already like close to looking up at this other car. And he's like, oh man, turn around. I'll let you have it for $900. And I was just kind of like, okay, you're coming down from 14 to 900. That's something, I don't know, it doesn't seem right. So he's just kind of like, yeah, you just come right now, I'll sell it to you for 900. And although the $900 price would have been amazing, you don't go from $1,400 to $900. And I was almost to the Acura Integra, and the dude sends me another message like, come on, for you, dude, I'll sell it for $400. And I'm just kind of like, this dude is really, really, really desperate to sell this car. If he's gonna go from $1,400 all the way to $400, there's something that's gotta be wrong with the car. So at that point, I was already in Gainesville, talking to the gentleman, taking a look at the car, pull up on it, and I get out, take a look, check the dude's hand, and it's a silver 1998 Acura Integra. It's an automatic, 1.8 liter, 4-cylinder. And I would say getting in the car, this car's interior, for being that it's 19 years old, it was probably an 8 out of 10, and the exterior was probably, I don't know, a 6 out of 10. It was silver. I would say the ugliest part of the car is the fact that the front bumper, is the front bumper? No, the back bumper, I guess, has 2 screws in it holding the bumper up. So I actually haven't even really looked at the bumper just yet. I want to take a look at it to see why it's not staying on there how it should and why there's screws in it. But that was the least of my worries. That's aesthetics, I don't care. So I was talking to the guy, I was like, hey man, mind you, the car's already registered and inspected till May of next year. So I don't have to worry about that at all. Got in the car, and I asked him, I was like, hey, do you mind if I take it for a spin? He's like, no, go right ahead. He gives me the keys, and I said, what doesn't work on it? He says, everything works. The only thing that doesn't work is the driver's side window doesn't roll down. So, and it has automatic locks, automatic windows. It has a sunroof. It's the GS model, so it has the leather interior. Pretty nice car. It has 188,000 miles on it, which is pretty high mileage, which I already knew that. It wasn't a big deal to me. I'm spending $1,500. What can I expect, It's 19 years old, but I took it for a drive. I got on it, pushed on the brakes. Brakes were responsive. The motor, shift pretty good. And I was just kind of like, for me to be able to commute to work, this right here should suffice. I was like, pop the hood. It looked as clean as a 19-year-old motor could. Another thing that it didn't have was the radio. I guess he said, the guy's like, oh, well, if you want to be able to put a subwoofer in it, it's already got the wires ran. You just need the head unit was there. It's just a faceplate that's on it. He didn't have it, I guess. So I would just have to replace the radio, and speakers are already installed and stuff. So if I wanted to attach everything, I used to install speakers when I was like 20. So I'm pretty familiar with it. It's been, 9, almost 10 years, but not a big deal. But again, that was the least of my worries. I wanted to make sure that the car ran and drove like I needed to get to and from work, because I needed to get to work. I'd been out for 3 months. They were expecting me back Monday. I was like, oh, okay, took it for a drive, came back, and I was just kind of, at that point I was pretty much sold. I was like, I really can't ask for much more, and the dude told me, hey, I really can't come down off the price. I said, hey man, I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna try to lowball you. In the event that everything checks out and it does what I need it to do, I'll pay you the $1,500 gladly. So I paid him the money. I got Texas Blue title for it, and I had my girlfriend with me. She's, we took her car to go check it out. I had her follow me, make sure all the, brake lights, tail lights worked, everything like that. Drove it from there all the way home. Never had any problems. The AC was cold. For now, for music, I've been using my phone. It's not a big deal to me. I will replace the radio soon enough. I could do without that, So check this out. Go to work Monday, take it out. I was like, cool, got to and from work. I said, I can get used to this, just driving in an automatic during traffic. I was like, serves its purpose. If this can last me a year minimum, I will have gotten my $1,500 out of it. So Tuesday comes around, I'm heading down to work in traffic, and I'm probably, 85% of the way to work. and I'm sitting there, you know, stop and go traffic because of the lights and whatnot, and I hear a pow, and I'm just kind of like, what the heck is that? And then next thing you know, I see all this white smoke coming out of the hood, and I was just kind of like, oh no, you gotta be kidding me. My girlfriend and daughter are at home sick, so I know she's not at work. I didn't bring any of my tools with me, and I was just kind of like, man, well, I wonder what that was, you know? So I'm like, come on, Light, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I want to just get to work because I'm afraid if I pull off to the side of the road and check it out, I'm going to get stuck and I won't make it to work, and that's just not going to look good. So I was like, I'm going to try to tough it out and just try to get to work at least so I can go do what I got to do. I'll deal with it after I get out of work. You know, at every stoplight, I just see the smoke coming out, and I'm looking, and I'm, you know, driving it, and I'm like, it's not reacting as if it's like having trouble going. So I was like, what the heck? And I glanced down at the heat gauge, the cold and hot, and I mean, that thing's all the way at the H, and I was just kind of like, okay, so it's overheating. What could it be? I get to work, and I'm like, I'll just have to, I'll call my girlfriend and say, hey, you know what? Car is acting up, whatever. I'll have her bring my tools to me. After I get off of work, I'll take a look at it and I'll try to fix it, even if it takes me all night. I gotta do what I gotta do. I get back, there's the Frito-Lay mechanic is, you know, working. He works on all our Frito-Lay trucks, all the fleet trucks and whatnot. And I walk up to him, he's like, what else did you break? And I was just kind of like, nah, it's not the Frito truck. But I am having problems with my personal vehicle. Do you mind taking a look at it with me? Not asking you to work on it, but just point me in the right direction of what it could have been, so this way I can go get the parts that I need, because there's an AutoZone that's like not even a mile away from my actual job. I was gonna, you know, drive over there, get the parts that I need, and I'll fix it myself. You know, he goes, yeah, I'll be over there in a second. So he comes over, no problem. We pop the hood. I did buy radiator fluid to pour in there, because when I did pop the hood, when I first got there in the morning, it looked like the reservoir was kind of empty. I was like, maybe it just didn't have any coolant in it. So I bought some, and he told me, hey, well, you know, I suggest that you put water in there to kind of see where it's coming out from. I said, distilled water or regular water? He's like, no, just regular water. I said, but that promotes corrosion and rust and stuff like that. He goes, you'll be fine. So I said, well, I don't have any water right now. All I got is the coolant. He goes, well, if you want to throw the coolant in there, just throw it in there. So we did, and I mean, it's taking every bit of the coolant. And next thing you knew, we hear like, as if it was like a spigot, like the water was just pouring out on the floor. And we're looking, and then he goes, oh, right there, look, you see it? So he goes, right here, you see this hose? Well, what had happened, I mean, the hose has got to be damn near as old as a car if it hadn't been replaced, you know, so 19 years old. The hose that actually connects from where the thermostat goes and the motor, I guess, was under pressure, and kind of like a balloon, when you blow it up, it just pops. That's what that popping noise was in the morning that I had heard. And, you know, all the heat was, that's what all the smoke was. So I was looking at it, I was like, man, hopefully I don't have to take half the motor apart just to be able to get to that hose, you know. I look in there, girlfriend shows up with my tools. I grab a pair of pliers, and, you know, with the clamps, take off the clamps. I had to like kind of fit my arms in a real tight spot. I took it off. Dude, it took 5 minutes. I was like, awesome, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We went to AutoZone. I, you know, took the part, hey, this is what I need. Dude came out. The hose was $15, and the radiator fluid, because I bought some more because I want to make sure I had enough, was like 12 bucks or something like that. So went back to the car, installed the new hose, put the radiator, the total work was 30 minutes, total parts was $30. And she was like, well, I gotta go pick up, you know, the other one that wasn't sick at school. But I was like, hey, but I don't want you to leave me and then find out my car overheats, and you gotta turn around in traffic to, like, you know, come to where I am. So she was like, well, you know, let's make it snappy. So I got it all put on. I turned on the car. The heat gauge was, you know, not at halfway, but like more on the like cold side, which is about where it should be. I just kept an eye on it, and we were in stop and go traffic all the way home. It took a good hour, probably about hour and 10 minutes to get home. which was going to be a test of, hey, did I fix it or not? Because sitting in, you know, traffic, just sitting there, not moving, would allow the car the ability to overheat. Well, it didn't overheat. I made it all the way home, no problem. Went to work all week, no problem. So needless to say, I was lucky in the fact that all I had to replace was a hose. But for now, I'm gonna kind of make it look a little better. Like I said, it was all silver. If I have any pictures on my phone, I'll just put it in the video, and then I'll probably start making little how-to videos and what I'm doing with the car, drive it for a little while, and then turn around and sell it. I'm not gonna try to make a huge profit, because the way I see it is it could be, if it could serve somebody its purpose of, you know, like a first car or somebody going to college, dude, $500 in my pocket just for my time and effort of being able to maintain the car and make sure that it's good, that's fine with me. So now I'm gonna go ahead and show you that my car, the Audi, is parked out front, just hanging out till I want to come up with the $3,500 to fix it. So for the time being, I've got the Acura. All right, I'll take you guys to the garage so I can show you the Acura. But needless to say, that right there wasn't very promising. Just knowing that I had to get back to work. I'll take you guys. And the Acura is right here. See if I can zoom in a little bit. Not a bad little car. Like I said, for 1,500 bucks, I really can't complain. The interior of it, for a car that's 19 years old, I spent yesterday just cleaning the car. So went in there with a vacuum cleaner, clean it out as good as I can. Went in there with Clorox wipes. Maybe I can turn on the light to show a little bit better. But it's got the sunroof there. I painted that, the roof, plasti dipped it black, plasti dipped the hood, and I plasti dipped the front bumper myself, because the front bumper was the biggest problem. It looked the ugliest. Back seat, like I said, it's pretty clean for being as old as it is. Now you'll notice in the back seat, the seats are leather. In the front, they're cloth. And I guess at one point in time, whoever owned the car went ahead and put seats from maybe the LS model, but it wasn't a big deal to me, to be honest. Driving in Texas heat, I don't mind the cloth seats at all. Take you to the back of the car. I'm gonna open the garage door a little bit so I can get some better lighting. You notice the paint job on the hood isn't the most perfect, but it was eroding. Like I guess sun has already beaten it through. So for a cheap fix, I was like, you know what, I'll just paint it black, not a big deal, whatever. But dang it, I'm gonna have to open it all the way. Oh, and that's another thing. I put the cardboard on. No, I don't want this stuff. Okay. I put the cardboard on the floor to make sure it wasn't leaking any oil or anything like that. And you know, other than the radiator fluid that was leaking the other day, it's not leaking at all. That's it right there. I'll end up, you know, putting a little bit of work into it. This is not the factory antenna, but whatever, it'll work. It's got little wheels. Dude, I've been on Craigslist and wheels for this car are dirt cheap. I can literally buy a set of wheels and tires for like 300 bucks. So I was like, I like it, I'll take it. But it's got power windows, power locks. The car starts right up, like literally like a brand new car would. I don't have any problems. It does have the check engine light on, and while I was at AutoZone, I had them diagnose what the problem was, and the paperwork shows that it wants me to replace the catalytic converter. So not a big deal. I priced them online. They're a couple $100. I don't mind doing that to maintain the car, but it doesn't, it might, they said the biggest thing with the catalytic converter, what it does is it limits the power. It kind of bogs it down a little bit. But to turn it on, I got, boom. The air conditioner works good. Clock works good. Sunroof works, no problem. The cigarette lighter works. This is the radio that doesn't have the, oh, you're probably gonna be able to hear all the wind. Turn off the AC. But you're gonna, the radio that doesn't have the faceplate, so I'll have to replace that eventually. But all in all, man, I couldn't be more happy. I'll go ahead and pop the hood. Got a Duralast battery. Probably from AutoZone, wouldn't doubt it. It is not the VTEC motor, so it's alright though. I wasn't planning on racing it anyways. Eventually I want to be able to replace that rusted, it's the header. Power steering fluid I want to change out eventually, just to give it some new fluid. Maybe get a lid for that windshield washer reservoir. Belts are good. The part that I had to replace though, I'm going to put the camera down so I can put the, no, do it like this. Alright, the part that I had to replace, if I come over here, move this out of the way. Where's it at? This hose I had to replace. Like I said, I squeezed my hand in there and replaced it. It took about 30 minutes of my time, but the car itself runs good. For 1,500 bucks, I don't think I could have found a better car. Go ahead and turn it off. And then you got the poor Audi over here. Just sitting here. Sad. I'll fix it eventually. Eventually I'll probably end up fixing the hail damage on it too. Just not at this moment. I really don't plan on putting a whole lot of money into the Acura itself. And close the garage door. Yeah, I don't plan on putting a lot of money into the Acura. I just want to be able to maintain it. Maintain it. Maintain the vehicle, and then maybe put a radio in it eventually, obviously, you know. But other than that, that's the update. That car's running good. Try to maintain it and keep it that way. As I do little things to the car, I'll record it and put it online. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.